October 8th, 1871. A calm Sunday evening in Chicago, until chaos erupted. It was a night like any other, but in moments, a spark became an inferno that would devastate an entire city. What caused it? How did Chicagoans survive? And how did this catastrophe shape the city we know today? Let's uncover the untold story of one of the most devastating urban fires in history. In the 1870s, Chicago was a city on the rise. Its population had exploded to over 300,000, making it one of the fastest-growing cities in America. Immigrants from across the globe sought opportunity here, and businesses thrived. But there was a problem, a big one. The city was built almost entirely out of wood. Houses, sidewalks, even some streets were made of timber. And after a long, dry summer, the city was a tinderbox. Picture yourself walking these streets, vendors calling out, children playing, and neighbors chatting. Beneath this idyllic scene lay a city unprepared for the disaster about to unfold. The fire began innocently enough, in a small barn on DeKoven Street. Legend blames Mrs. O'Leary's cow for kicking over a lantern. It's a tale that's stuck for generations, but historians largely agree it's just that, a tale. What we do know is that around 9 p.m., the flames began to spread, fanned by strong winds. As the first flames licked the barn's walls, neighbors rushed to raise the alarm. But the city's firefighting resources were already stretched thin from earlier blazes that day. Miscommunication and outdated equipment turned what could have been a contained fire into a raging disaster. By midnight, the fire had a life of its own. Strong winds turned it into a relentless force, leaping from building to building. Entire neighborhoods were swallowed in minutes. Factories, homes, and even the courthouse. Nothing was safe. The fire created its own weather system, with embers flying across the Chicago River and igniting the north side of the city. The sky was glowing red, and the streets were filled with people running, carrying whatever they could. It felt like the end of the world. Families abandoned their belongings to escape the unrelenting blaze. Chicago's firefighters were brave, but they were no match for the Inferno. The city's waterworks failed, and fire reached the pumping station, leaving firefighters without water pressure. They tried to create fire breaks by demolishing buildings, but even this desperate tactic failed against the relentless blaze. In 1871, firefighting was a vastly different endeavor. Steam-powered pumps and hand-pulled hoses were standard, and communication between fire brigades was slow. Combined with the city's dry conditions, it was a recipe for disaster. When the fire finally burned itself out, on October 10th, the scale of devastation was staggering. Over 17,000 buildings were destroyed, and 100,000 residents were left homeless, a third of Chicago's population. The human cost was equally tragic. Around 300 lives were lost, though some accounts suggest the true number could be higher. For the survivors, the aftermath was a harsh reality. Families huddled in makeshift shelters, relying on charity for food and supplies. Relief efforts poured in from across the country, but the road to recovery was long and arduous. In the days and weeks that followed, the fire's origin became a topic of heated debate. Was Mrs. O'Leary to blame? Was it arson? Some even suggested divine punishment for the city's perceived excesses. These rumors reflected the public's need to make sense of such a monumental tragedy. While the true cause remains unknown, the fire laid bare the vulnerabilities of a rapidly growing city. It was a wake-up call for urban planners and leaders nationwide. Despite the devastation, Chicago's spirit remained unbroken. Within weeks, plans to rebuild were underway. Architects and engineers designed a city of the future, with fire-resistant materials like brick and steel. This transformation paved the way for the birth of the skyscraper and reshaped urban design forever. The Great Chicago Fire left scars, but it also sparked profound change. Today, Chicago stands as a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and determination. Memorials honor the lives lost, while the city's skyline, a beacon of innovation, reminds us of what was rebuilt. The Great Chicago Fire isn't just a chapter in history. It's a story of survival, reinvention, and hope. If this story inspired you, like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating tales from history. Together, let's uncover the events that shaped our world.